Well, hello there. Welcome to the Friday demo. Very glad you could join me. I hope you had a fantastic week and ready to end it on a fun paint pouring demo. We're going to be doing something I normally don't do, so at least color wise, but it'll be kind of fun, and I'm excited to see what we get out of it. So welcome everybody. Hey, Helsum, thank you for showing up. That's awesome. Hey, Monique. Hi, Anne. Great to see you. Pat is here. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and I'll tell you what we're going to do. I've got a whole bunch of leftover paints, and I'm going to be using them up. They're kind of all over the place on the color wheel. I'll show you what I have here in a second. I've got a lot of warm colors. I have a lot of cool colors. So we're going to be kind of using I'll be layering them all into a cup. I'm going to be splitting it up though in kind of a warm section and a cool section, and we'll see what happens. So it should be kind of fun, and we're going to be doing the floating cup technique, one of my favorites. So we'll use up some leftover paint and hopefully get a very cool demo. And with the floating cup, I usually that is, always get something I like. So we'll find out what happens tonight. So welcome everyone. Here everyone is coming. Hey, Sandra and Karen is here. Fantastic. Hey, Cynthia and Donna. Great to see you. And Pamela has joined us also. And Judy is here. Awesome. So let me go ahead and I'm going to flip the camera over. I'll kind of walk you through all these colors I have mixed up, and then I'll kind of talk about how I'm going to layer them. So let me flip the camera over and we'll get going. So here we go. Where's my mouse? All right, here we go. So I have a 12 by 16 canvas all prepped and ready to go. I'm going to just kind of scooch that over to the side. And I have all these paints. These are all leftovers from some of the recent demos I've been doing. I've got a lot of bright colors here because we did a little talk about muddy colors. So I mixed up some of the primary colors. So they're all kind of bright. And I normally don't use a lot of bright colors together. I definitely don't use kind of a wide spectrum of the color wheel together. I'm usually a little bit more specific than that. But what I'm going to do, I want to use up some of these paints. I've got some warm colors up here. This is a gold, and I've got this is also a gold and metallic orange together. So it's basically an orange. So I have kind of a yellow and an orange and a red. So these are warms, and then all of these colors are cool. So I've got purple is kind of bridging the gap here between red and then our blue greens and our blue. So what I'm going to do, and I've got white, of course. I've got white for a base coat and then white that I'll be using inside our layered cup. I've got my floating cup all created and ready to go. We're going to be using about 7.5 ounces for our 12 by 16 here. And I've got my little hole poked in the bottom and my tape tab ready to pull. And that will cause our paints to flow out of the cup. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put maybe about one layer of each of our warm colors on the bottom section of our cup right here. And then the top section of our cup are all going to be the cool colors. So I'm going to separate the warms from the cools instead of trying to mix them all together throughout the cup. And that will help kind of keep them a little bit separated in the painting, and most likely or hopefully keep them from getting muddy and getting a lot of mixing and things. So we talked about that with muddy colors, and we're going to be using some barrier colors, mainly the white here, but also purple can be a barrier color. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll see what we get with our floating cup. So this is just a wide range of different colors. So we should get a pretty colorful painting. I'm excited to see exactly what happens. So let's go ahead and layer our cup and get going. So I'm going to move some of these for the moment. So we're going to focus on these colors first. So I'm going to start with gold, I think. and just a little gold in there. I'm going to put a little white in there as well. And then some of our gold and orange. And then our red, I think. I use a little bit more red. And then I'm going to go back to our gold. Maybe like a small second layer of each color. And I'm specifically not putting the white next to the red just so I can avoid getting a lot of pinks. I like my reds to be very pure and stay vibrant. So here's a little bit more of our orange and a little bit more red. And that should be a very bright, colorful section of our cup. Next up, we're going to put a transition color in, and I'm using the purple. Purple and red work well together. They're right next to each other on the color wheel. So we're going to put some purple in there. And then I'm going to put this kind of pretty light blue-green next. And these are all going to be our cool colors. Cool in temperature. They're also very cool looking, but they're cool in temperature. And then we're going to go with our, this is a little bit darker green, or a blue-green. It's more on the blue side than the green side, but still it's in that range. A little bit of white. I want to get a little lighter value in there. And then a little bit of our darker blue. This is a cobalt blue. So it's right in the middle, like a very pure blue. And that's pretty much it. I might end with just a touch of our I'm debating. I'm going to stay away from the purple. I'm just going to keep it all blues at the end here. So a little bit more of that and touch more of our cobalt. So that's, we've got one layer of purple, and then all of these are kind of blue-greens and blues. So that is our cup ready to go. We've got all our colors in there, and they're all nicely layered. They're separated. So I'm going to just scooch this over for the moment. And we'll put our base coat on. Here we go. So this is just some white. And all of these colors are just, all the colors I'm using are just 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. Nothing super special or weird about any of them. My easy formula. And I like to use, these are all about the number 2 consistency, which is kind of the standard consistency that I like to use most of the time. So this is just white. I'm just spreading it out. Our floating cup is going to interact with the base coat. So I'm just taking any excess paint. This is a relatively thin layer of paint. It's not super thin, but it's not very thick. And I'm just kind of moving it towards the center. We want a puddle kind of in the center of our canvas, and that's where we're going to drop our floating cup. I'm going to put a little bit more in here. And that's going to be a nice little puddle for our paint to flow out into. That looks pretty good. And let's see here. I'm going to give this a little torch. We can pop some air bubbles. And there we go. We're ready to drop our cup on. I'm going to flip the camera here so you can get a little closer look at the action. And you can kind of see our pretty cup. And here it is. So it layered quite nicely, so ready to go. So I'm going to use my flipping tool here. I've got my little metal scraper tool. I'm going to Just put this over the top, flip it upside down, and then I'm going to just drop it right in this puddle of white, just like that. Let that sit there for a second. And okay, so let's see, let me get this. That looks pretty good. So we got some interesting things kind of happening already, but let's go ahead and pull our tape tab and let this let the paint come out, and we'll see what we get. So here we go. So I'm just letting the paint kind of flow out of there, moving the cup gradually. Ooh, we got some cells happening on the other side here. I'll turn it around. So I'm going to give it a gentle lift up, let a little more paint flow out. And that looks pretty good. Ooh, we got two interesting areas. I'm going to just pull this off quickly. I'm going to just kind of move this down here. I just kind of want to shuffle that paint a little bit and kind of recenter it. I'm going to do a little bit of a cup drag through here. I like all this gold, but I want to give it a little more variation. And bring some other kind of colors into that. That's kind of interesting. Let's go with that. So I'm going to flip the camera back to the top view. So we had this big field of gold. It was just this big kind of mass of gold. I just wanted to break it up and add some, interest in there. We've got kind of two centers of interest happening right now. This over here is very pretty with all these cells. This has also got a lot of interest. So we'll see what happens. You can have more than one center of interest in a painting. It's nice if one is the dominant kind of center of interest and the other one is more of a secondary center of interest, but we'll see what we get. So the time is come to do a little tilting, and so I'm going to just expand this paint puddle a little bit more. So I'm going to carefully move it around. And see, the problem with that, all those beautiful cells, they're kind of close to the edge. So I might want to do a little bit of, add a little more base coat to help that out. A little flow extender, which I think I might do, because I'll tilt off of this corner first. I'll just use some, I'll use some purple because I have plenty of that. So this is, just going to use my fingers to kind of move it up into this other puddle of paint. So I have a nice edge to it. And then this will help kind of bring this paint over the corner without losing too much. We will lose a little bit, but I'll try to save as much as I can. Some of these are gonna get lost, I'm afraid, but I'll go slowly here. See if I can conserve. There goes some of them. Not too bad. That's going to be an interesting corner. So let's go down to this blue corner next. Just going to let the paint kind of make its way down there slowly. There we go. All right, next up, let's go down to this corner. So as you can see that those little lip drags I did have changed dramatically, and that usually happens once the paint starts stretching and moving. Everything kind of changes around a bit. So let's move this down here. Got a lot of crazy cells in this one, which is kind of fun. So again, I'm just going slowly with my tilting. There's no need to rush any of that. So I kind of like that. We have two corners now that have got a lot of warm colors, and then we'll have two that have more cool colors. That's kind of neat. Wasn't expecting that, but kind of worked out well. So just gonna turn this and go to our last corner here. Again, we have a lot of blue. Maybe I'll use a little bit more flow extender to try to save some of our blue. I think that would be kind of cool. There we go. Okay, so here, now you'll see the blue will go over the corners easier. It kind of just drags that other paint along for the ride. It just makes it a lot easier. And we still kind of lost it. So, oh well. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to just set it down and we'll take a look. That's a pretty colorful piece so far. But one thing that it did, which I'm happy about, it kept the warms and the cool colors separate. So my layering of the cup worked for the most part the way I was anticipating or hoping. So we've got a lot of, this whole area is warm, and then this kind of leads up through here, all this warm area, and then this nice, cool section right in here. And then we had that nice section over here, but fortunately that got tilted off. But we have this nice little kind of hint up here, which I really like. So this ties right into this kind of a lake effect type of thing. That turned out pretty nice. We got a lot of cells happening. They're still starting to pop up in spots, which is neat. I'm not going to tilt anymore. I think I like it just like this. Actually, the only thing I might do is kind of just taking no, it's not going to move too much. We're seeing if I could pull some of that blue back down. But most of this is going to start moving, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And I think it turned out pretty cool. Very weird looking. Lots of cells. And, but I like it. These corners are very unique. Like, there's a lot of interest in there. But I'm not too worried about that because there's still a lot of interest everywhere else. So I don't think those detract too much from everything else in the painting. We've got a lot of funky cells happening. But I think that's kind of neat. So there were two sets of metallics in here. Of course, the gold was the first color I put in, and then the metallic orange gold as well. And those created a lot of the interesting, cool cells. So all in all, kind of a crazy, funky painting. But I kind of like it. It's not my favorite painting, but it's got a lot of interest, and it's got a lot of what I was trying to get. So separating our warms and cools, that succeeded. So I'm pretty happy about that. So let's see here. And any questions you might have, I'm gonna just scroll back up and see if I missed anything. Cool. No, I don't see anything. Well, here, let me, I'll zoom in a little bit, and then you can get a little closer look at some of the funky stuff that's going on. So there's that top corner, and I do like that little section of blue at the top. To me, that really helps kind of balance the painting out. There's that bottom, that interesting corner right here. And here is that nice blue section. These are crazy looking cells up in here. There's a lot of very delicate lacing happening in this area. And then here are those kind of wild gold cells in that other funky corner. So very interesting. I kind of like this cell. That little blue cell popped right in the middle of all the gold cells. Okay. So let me flip back here. All right, so that is just a regular old floating cup with a bunch of random warm and cool colors. Turned out pretty cool. So the only thing I would suggest, give this a shot if you have a bunch of colors that you think might not go together. And one way to maybe get a better result is kind of group them as in a warm section or cool section, or group them together in some way instead of just putting them all together randomly in your cup. Take some time to think about which colors might go together better, and then you can kind of separate them. Use that barrier color to kind of divide them up and see what you get. You never quite know. And this is a pretty wild, cool, crazy one. So definitely the brightest painting I've done in quite some time. So pretty happy about that. All right, so I don't see any questions coming in. And so it's a pretty quick one today, but that's great. You know, better than last week where I had all kinds of problems. So this one went a whole lot smoother. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much, and I hope you have a great weekend. Give a floating cup a try and see what you can come up with. So thanks so much for joining me. I will see you next time, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.